They were 13-20 before the 13-game winning streak began, which is a 394 winning percentage, which is really bad. Since the 13-game winning streak ended, they are 11-17, which is a 393 winning percentage. So essentially identical, horrible records before and after the winning streak.
We did a little test video yesterday just to kind of F around with this technology a little bit, and we ended up having about a 10-minute discussion about, what is this team? And I love that we've gotten to the point where, given the fact that they started so slow and then they were so hot in the middle and then they kind of plugged along and then we're on it. Yesterday, we're in the middle of a 6-game losing streak that we end up getting to this point of the season and we're like, they're a 500 team, which is often a way of saying, I don't really know who this team is, which is pretty much the case like right now. Like, all the narratives that we've had up to this point have kind of melted away, right? We thought, oh, this is going to be a really good pitching team, but a really poor hitting team. Well, we don't have as much confidence in the pitching. I don't know that we have any more confidence in the hitting than we did, but so many, not just on a team level do we have questions. I think we got questions on an individual level about so many of the really good players. Is Buxton this good? Is, I think, a legitimate question. I think, is Correa good? The same is a legitimate question. I think we're going to be covering some of those questions during the podcast today.
Yeah, well, and it also, I don't know, it doesn't help, or it does help, that a lot of the narratives are carrying over from the last 2 months of last season, where I didn't know what to make of this team then. I don't know what to make of this team now. And the other thing is, it's a lot like last season, some of the same, kind of ebbs and flows of the season, because last year you had the bad start, then you had the 12-game winning streak. This year you have the bad start with the 13-game winning streak. The thing that I come back to on this year's team, and I'm sure I'll be accused of this being a pessimistic view, but we'll see, I guess. But yeah, well, no, video, that's not going to change that. I'll still be...
Okay, all right.
But they were 13-20 before the 13-game winning streak began, which is a 394 winning percentage, which is really bad. Since the 13-game winning streak ended, they are 11-17, which is a 393 winning percentage. So essentially identical, horrible records before and after the winning streak. And I'm not saying the winning streak didn't matter.
Sandwiching a 1,000% winning streak. Yeah, that's
when you sit there and you say, this team, we don't know what to make of it, how would you know what to make of a team that's like this?
And I think you make a good point, which is that that is a narrative, that the questioning about what this team was is a thing that goes back certainly to the offseason. We went into this season not knowing what this team was, right? Like, the big question going into this season was, hold on, were they the team they were for the first 4.5 months of the season, or were they the team they were for the last month and a half of the season? So we had that question throughout the offseason, and truly, as you pointed out, we spent the last month and a half of last season wondering who this team is, because we kept going, this can't be this bad after being this good for the first 4.5 months. But the one thing we know about this team is that they never seem to be sort of in the middle.
Right.
They seem to be really hot or really cold all the time.
Which is a very odd thing to say about a team that went 82-80 last year and is now 37-37 this year.
And frankly, a team that is coached by Rocco Baldelli, which is, a manager who, I think the narrative coming into midway through last year was, he's a very even-keeled guy. The team stays very even-keeled. He preaches sort of an even-keel approach. We're going to take this one day at a time, et cetera. And how can that, philosophy and coaching and I mean, I think even that if you go up a level to management, sort of a long-term view of things, and we're getting caught in the short-term roller coaster ride of a season.
Well, I mean, I think it speaks a little to maybe the limitations of what a manager can control.
Well, I agree.
Which is, he might be the most even-keeled person of all time, and he might attempt to replicate that in his clubhouse. But if your best starting pitcher's hurt and your 4 of your 6 best hitters don't hit, you can be as even-keeled as you want, brother. But the players still have to play, which I think is probably our 15-year-long overall view of managers.